Hello everyone, welcome back to the #1 trusted name in tech. We got another banger for you guys. We're doing another double ISWI. You might be asking yourself, what the heck is a double ISWI? Well, if you didn't watch the last video, I just kind of came up with an acronym that could better suit this type of series that I do of like, is it still worth it in? And so I pretty much took those first letters in that sector of names and just kind of made it a double ISWI because it is double ISWI. So I hope that makes more sense. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you don't want me calling it that, then I will stop. But I want you to write at least 3 paragraphs explaining it. If it's not at least like 600 words and it's not 3 paragraphs double spaced, I'm probably not even going to read it. So right now we're going to be talking about the iPhone 7 Plus and how it holds up in 2019. So interestingly enough, this was the last phone I ever owned. Before I switched to the iPhone 10 as a main device, obviously I owned a lot more devices than that. Not trying to flex, I wasted a lot of money. I also probably don't profit as much as you guys because I spend so much, so just keep that in mind. But this was the last main phone I used and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though I had iOS 11 on it, which wasn't that good, I didn't really complain too much and I was kind of excited to own a phone with 2 cameras on the back if I'm being dead honest. And it definitely was a little bit of an improvement from the iPhone 6s Plus. It wasn't a major improvement. From real world usage from last year, it was kind of cool. So, before going forward, let's go ahead and take a step back. I want to talk about everything that changed in 2018 with this phone and just kind of do a brief recap before looking forward. If you already seen the last couple iPhone videos in 2019, the double ISWIs I did for 2019 for some of the iPhones, you can go ahead and just fast forward like 20-30 seconds. If you do, my feelings aren't going to get hurt, I promise. But last year on my double ISWI, I don't know if I can keep saying that. It's kind of corny, I'll be honest. But last year when I did that still worth it video for the 7 Plus in 2018, it actually had iOS 11 on it. And iOS 11 wasn't perfect, had a lot of bugs, yada, yada, yada. But I found, interestingly enough, there were 2 phones that weren't really affected too much with iOS 11 in terms of bugs and everything for my specific cases. I'm sure a lot of other people can find a lot of bugs with the same exact phones I'm referencing here. But those 2 phones were the iPhone SE and the iPhone 7 Plus. Now the iPhone SE was way more stable than the 7 Plus, but I was surprised because I owned the 7 Plus as my main phone, like I said, and I didn't really experience too many problems with it in terms of software. It was fairly stable, and even though, like I said, it wasn't perfect, I found out that I could definitely use it day to day. I didn't really experience too much like battery drain or something, so it's kind of like that. And not only did I use it as my main phone, I extensively tested it. I made tons and tons of videos, tons of comparisons. And midway through 2018, we actually got iOS 12, which was, I'm not going to say it was a humongous improvement. I'm sure it did clean up a lot of bugs, and it did clean up a lot of bugs and made it more stable overall. And it brought new features like group FaceTime, group notification, things like that. But it really wasn't that, redesign we were wanting and we were hoping for. I think iOS 13 is going to be that complete redesign, but really it was kind of more the same. We did get, like I said, some new features, but overall, I'm glad that it's more stable and a lot better now. So I've said this with a lot of the other iPhones as well. The phone right now as it is actually better than what it was last year. And I've said this with a lot of the other iPhones, the double ISWIs that I did with those. So yeah, nothing but respect for Apple for doing that. They're kind of in a rut right now. I wasn't going to announce this here, but like I said, I'm running for CEO of Apple in 2020. I know the whole presidential election is going to happen, but I'm hoping that I can overtake Tim Cook in the general election. So I'll definitely drop more information about that. But looking around the body of the 7 Plus, it's pretty much the same as every other iPhone. I'm sure you guys have seen some type of iPhone in your life. Now, the craziest thing they did with the 7 Plus, and they totally switched it up when they went with the 8 and 8 Plus and all those other phones, the color designs and choices that they had for the 7 Plus were astronomically better than what they were before. So they had the matte black, which was sick. I love that. But they also had the jet black, and that was literally to die for. I love the jet black version of this phone. That's the one I had, and I would give everything in my life to get another jet black version. And the cool thing was, it was still made out of, I don't know what it was made out of. I'm going to look like an idiot now. But it wasn't glass, but it made it have this texture of being glass. And like if I dropped it, it wasn't going to crack it. Well, it could crack, technically speaking, it would crack whatever the material was, but it's not like glass. So the screen would crack. Actually, the screen on my 7 Plus is cracked, but the back is perfectly fine, which I have the matte black version, but the jet black version was crazy. Looking at the front, we do have a 5.5-inch IPS panel. It's pretty good. I like it. It's not AMOLED, but really, if you're planning on getting this phone, I don't think you're going to care too much. When I owned it, I really didn't care that much, I'll be honest. And I'm a guy who has to review all these phones. I'm looking at the bottom of the screen. We actually have a home button with Touch ID 2. Now, the thing with this home button is that it's not an actual clicky button. It's just a vibration motor, so when you click it, it just like gives you haptic feedback. And it's kind of more so of the thing with like the Magic Trackpad 2 or like the Force Touch on the MacBook, so kind of the same realm as that. And this was actually the first iPhone where they removed the headphone jack, so that was a pretty big deal. Pretty scandalous. And Phil Schiller, who announced that, still hasn't hit me back up on my DMs. I literally DM him like every single day. I'm like, hey, if you respond to me now, I'll let you be the vice president for my CEO, like, running when I go run for CEO of Apple. And he still hasn't DM me back. So I guess, what goes around comes around. If I become CEO of Apple, I guess I'll just not answer his emails whatever. I'm not salty about it though. I mean, it's whatever. Now going along with that, this isn't really talked about too much, but this was the first iPhone as well where they added a stereo effect speaker kind of thing. The front earpiece doubles as a speaker, and every single iPhone after this one has actually had that stereo speaker effect. And where the headphone jack used to be, there's a speaker hole, but it's not really a speaker, which begs the question, why did they even remove it in the first place? Well, obviously they removed it to sell their AirPods, end of story, because they released the AirPods the same day as well. But you know what? That's that. If you want to see a lot of other conspiracies I talk about, go watch the other videos. But moving on, that's pretty much the hardware side of the exterior. But in terms of the inside, more so of the software side, turning it on, we do have iOS 12, like I stated, and it runs fairly well. And actually lots of you guys, well, not lots of you guys, but some of you guys watch my second channel where I drop really awesome documentary style videos. And also my mixtape songs are on there if you guys want to check it out, go there. But I talked a lot about the 7 Plus, and a lot of you guys watch that more so than not. I mean, it's still like way less than this channel. Some of my most of videos are about the 7 Plus and the software, which really says something, you know. It says maybe there's a lot of people still out there who own the 7 Plus and are interested, or maybe they're future buyers. Maybe they want to know how it's running. And I always get like, talk about the 7 Plus battery, like talk about it on iOS 12.1.2, talk about it on like iOS 12.0.21 or whatever it was. I get lots of comments like that specifically for the 7 Plus. So there's still demand. There's still a lot of people who are interested in this phone. And like I said, I haven't really dropped a software video on that second channel in a while about the 7 Plus, but I will start if there's a demand for it if you guys want to see it. Maybe if you guys start watching some videos on that second channel making the views go up, maybe I'll start going back on that, right? Again, that channel's linked below. But in terms of the featureability and what's going to go happen past 2019, maybe even in 2020, this phone software-wise is still going to be supported for at least like another 2.5 years. So right now I'm recording this in January of 2019. I'm pretty sure that in like June of 2021, that's when this phone is going to stop being supported. So if you're watching this, you know, like even in 2020 or something, in June of 2021, that's pretty much when it's going to get its last update, or like May-ish. I think it's going to be iOS 14, which is still a long time away. So this phone still has quite a bit of life left in it in terms of software. But in terms of performance, I'll tell you right now, the overall performance is very good. Is it better than the iPhone XS Max? Is it better than the iPhone XS? Is it better than the iPhone 10? No, probably not. I've done comparisons between this and all those phones. I found that, you know, the 7 Plus is a little bit slower here and there, but really that's not like the tell-all sign, you know. I don't know a good example. Maybe it's like this, you know, like you have a dog, right? And let's say your neighbor has a dog. Just because your neighbor's dog is faster doesn't necessarily mean it's better, you know what I mean? So the performance, yes, the XS Max is better and fast. Dude, that was a horrible analogy, I'm sorry. But the XS Max is better, faster, stronger, but that doesn't really mean a lot, especially when the XS Max, you consider the price point, it's over $1,000. It's like $1,100. Why would you spend that much on a phone? You can get a used iPhone 7 Plus for like a third or a fourth of that cost. And the iPhone XS Max is not 3 to 4 times faster. So that's a humongous thing right there. But in terms of the specs inside, I went off in a huge tangent. 3 gigs of RAM is what we're looking at. It has the Apple A10 chip, so you know what? Performance is going to be good. I don't really want to linger on too much about it. Opening, closing apps, multitasking, whatever you're going to do with it, it's going to be perfectly fine. Don't even worry about it. Gaming is also pretty good as well. I mean, like, now switching to the cameras, this is also another one of those things. This was the first iPhone to actually bring a dual camera sensor, and it also brought portrait mode, studio lighting, and the telephoto zoom where you can zoom a lot more into a subject. And again, this camera is very good for the age and the price point that you're paying for it. I've actually shot several videos on this channel with the iPhone 7 Plus. Maybe you guys seen them, maybe you guys haven't. But when I switched from the 6S Plus to the 7 Plus, I did see quite a bit of difference, more so in terms of the features that I was getting. But when I switched to the iPhone 7 Plus to the iPhone 10, I really didn't see that much of a difference, if I'm being honest. I still think they're about the same. I'm sure if I did a camera comparison, I could find some things different between them. I actually did a 7 Plus versus iPhone XR comparison, and yes, the photos were better on the iPhone XR overall, but honestly, like I said, if you're not comparing them side by side with anything, you're not going to notice the difference. So I think the camera in and of itself is very capable. The front camera is also pretty solid. Really, both cameras on this phone are very good, and I would definitely say that the cameras on this phone are definitely a plus instead of a pro. Now, some other notable things to note: there's no headphone jack. Like I stated, they removed that for this phone. Touch ID 2 on the front, so it's supposed to be a little bit faster. There's no Face ID, and I actually like Touch ID a lot more than Face ID. There is water resistance a little bit. It's IP67 dust and water resistant, so if you splash a little bit of water here and there, you'll be set. I actually dropped this in the toilet when I owned it one time, and it still worked. I was freaking out like crazy, but it still worked, and that's all I really had to worry about. Now, I kind of have to bring this up. I hate bringing it up towards the end of the video, but people were complaining quite a bit about the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus last year. It was probably one of the most complained iPhones I've found of 2018. Now, that was before the XR, XS, and XS Max came out, so I'm sure those iPhones are way more complained now. But I think a lot of those problems with the 7 and 7 Plus were mostly software related, so I don't really think you have to worry about it too much anymore. And plus, I own the 7 and I own the 7 Plus, and I really don't have too many problems with them. Now I'm going to say two more things and I'm done wasting your time. The first thing, if you're planning on getting like a cracked iPhone 7 Plus or something like that, I want you to keep in mind that the repairability and the ease of repairs for this phone are really in the middle, okay? It just depends what you're doing. You can literally repair every single thing about this phone except the screen. If you repair the screen yourself and you get like a thing on eBay and you just repair yourself, you'll actually be giving up Touch ID and the home button. So the home button and Touch ID will not work. You will actually have to get the screen replaced by Apple, and that's a pretty huge deal, mostly because a lot of people like me want to get a cheaper phone, but they want to replace it themselves, so they end up getting like a broken phone, fixing it, and just keeping the profit. And in a case like this, you can't really do that unless you want to give up the home button. With my iPhone 7, actually, I replaced the screen and the home button stopped working, and I was like, I'd rather have a no home button with a good display than a bad display and a home button. So I don't know why Apple did it. Well, I know why Apple did it, is to make more money off repairs, but it is what it is, So if I become CEO of Apple, that's going to completely change. And the second thing, okay, the price has decreased quite a bit, not a huge ton, but it's definitely gone down quite a bit since last year, since I did that last double ISY. And they used to sell for around the $350 mark for the base model, but now it actually went down to about that $300 mark. You can probably find one from between like $250 to $300, so that's a pretty decent deal, and that's a pretty decent price tag for a phone that still has 2.5 years of support at the minimum. So what I'll say is the iPhone 7 Plus still worth it in 2019? I will say 100% without a doubt, yes. This is one of those iPhones that are a very, very good deal. It still has a ton of life left in it, and really, it's a great build quality. I love the color selection. The software support is at least for another 2.5 years. So this phone, you're going to have problems with any phone in the world, but this phone will get those problems fixed, and you're going to get way more features that iOS has. And this phone is water resistant, it has a very good camera when you consider the age of it, and they're not really that expensive. If you buy this phone, you're not going to go in debt like if you go buy an iPhone XS Max or something. So what I'll tell you is, this is a very safe, very good iPhone. It just depends how you get it though. If you buy it through eBay and Craigslist and all these things, yes, you're going to be saving quite a bit of money, but like I said, this was one of the most complained iPhones that I saw last year, and you might be better off buying certified refurbished. Now, you guys need to know I do get affiliate income from that, so every time you buy something through those links, obviously it comes supports the channel and everything like that. But in a case like this, I would probably recommend getting certified refurbished, but you're welcome to go on eBay, check out the prices and everything like that, and even Craigslist or all these other websites. But like I say, I always recommend certified refurbished. You usually get warranties, and they're usually in better quality than if you go buy it elsewhere. So I will link in the description the cheapest one that I find on Amazon, and you can just go buy it directly from there. Like I said, it'll come support the channel as well, and we can buy more phones and do more giveaways and review more products, do some more double ISYs. I can't even say that with a straight face. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, that'll mean so much, but hit that subscribe button, that'll mean even more. Every single subscriber we get really helps the channel. Hopefully we'll hit 100 very, very soon. 2 or 3 weeks we're going to do that. Maybe I'll do some special video or maybe even another giveaway, who knows, but definitely hit that subscribe button. That'll mean a lot. Check out the links in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could go and check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.